to this data modernization webinar. My name is Amaury Biquet. I'm from Mass Global as a director of commercial operation. I started like 22 years ago as a COBOL developer in Belgium. And after a few years, I moved to the UK. I worked in core banking for 8 years. And after that, I moved to Colombia. Now I've been in Colombia for the last 11 years. And I'm very happy today to present you the webinar with
Thanks, Amaury. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to stay here, you all, and just to have this opportunity to talk about this interesting topic. I am Luis. I'm from Medellin, Colombia. I am an engineer with 14 years experience working with data. So let's talk about data today.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a brief agenda. So if you can show me agenda, thank you. So the first part, we're going to discuss a bit about generic topic about data in financial services. Then we move on to the data maturity and culture. After that, we will start to be a bit more technical with the modern data stack, a few use cases, and then a takeaway. And at the end, we have time for all your questions. We normally will have more than enough time for the questions. And in the middle, we do two very quick polls, would be like a minute, very short. Now over to Luis.
Okay, thanks, Amaury. So let's talk about the role of the data inside the financial service reinvention. And for do that, I first just want to talk about the banking reinvention quadrant introduced by Paolo Cironi in 2022 in his book Banks and Fintechs on Platform Economics. So what is that? This is about just banks adjusting their business model given the current economic macro environment. And we have here mainly two axes. The first one is related to the communication, and the another one is related to the information. So what is consumption banking? This is the way the banks interact with their clients. It's you and me talking with our banks, with our financial institution, and they just learning about us to provide us better services. And by the other hand, we have the contextual banking. This is about just to take out all the data from the core system banking and share the pieces of information, pieces of data with other parties into the economic platform. And that's why this is very important for the data engineering, because there are a lot of data sources that you need to ingest, you need to get into the right place to get a value from all those pieces of data. So with this, now let's talk about the financial service data ecosystem. So as we need shared data, we need to be able to get data from the banks, from the other pieces of information like data providers, like e-commerce platform, like public data source. There are a lot of providers in this ecosystem, and also we have intermediaries like credit bureaus, like credit score firms that just use all those data and transform the data to provide another new data. And also we have consumers in this ecosystem. The consumers, as you can see here, are the same banks, the same credit institutions, but also are the end users. And this is an interesting thing because now we are able to get a lot of pieces of information to make better decisions. And it's very amazing just to see how this financial services just evolve to become a better financial, to become a competitive institution. So
I've got a question for
okay.
you, Luis.
Yeah.
So maybe can you talk a bit about the challenges and the risk around the ecosystem?
Yeah, right now we have several challenges with that ecosystem. The first one is regarding to the data privacy and also security concerns, because as we are open, we are leading with differently the data inside the ecosystem. we had a lot of security and privacy situation that, and risks that we need to mitigate because we need just to avoid unauthorized access, to allow data breach and misuse of personal information that we don't know to have inside the ecosystem. Because, right now we have several security issues and we need to deal with that, with that situation. Also, regarding to the regulatory compliance, uh, as you know, financial institution has to comply a lot of requirements. That means that the financial institution needs to be prepared to do a lot of controls in order to comply with that regulation. Okay, so now say that let's take about, okay, what are the mostly data issues that we had in a financial environment. The first one is just regarding to the data silos. There are a lot of data sources, mostly legacy. That data sources lives in a legacy ecosystem, and also we have isolated data and no integrated data sources, and that just creates uh, a lot of problem when you want to get value from the data, because you need just to see how you can ingest, how you can get all those pieces of data, and it is not easy. By other hand, we had also the data consistency and data quality issues. That's regarding because there are several data sources with outdated data and also with conflicting information. And it's not easy just to define what is the source of truth that you have and what is the data that you can rely on. And also we had the data governance and management gaps. Again, we are working in an industry that has a lot of regulation, uh, PIA data, SP data, PCI. We need to comply with all those regulations, and it's not easy just to implement a data governance model, control that allow an organization to comply with all those rules. And that's why it's very important just to have modernization, data security, and a lot of controls. All those are mainly the typical financial data issues that we used to deal with. So now let's talk about data maturity and culture. This is my favorite topic because most of the time the people just wanna go directly to say, okay, I just wanna have this tool and this tool and do all the things regarding with the tool. But most of the time this is more regarding with the people, with the processes, with the culture that you have inside your organization. Because you can have the better tool for you, but if you don't have the right people, the right processes working around that, it's very, very hard to embrace a data culture. And as you can see here, at the first of the pyramid, we have the data. And it's not only just to say I have the data, the challenge here is just to say I have the data in place. And when I say the data in place, it's just to have a data that you can rely on and to have data connected efficiently, trustworthy. And this is a very interesting thing because as you have a lot of data sources, it's not easy just to say, okay, I want that for this data source, and also for this data source, but you will need them to connect all pieces of information inside your ecosystem, inside your data warehouse that you want to call it. But you need also to use the right procedure, the right practices to have a really good data in that layer. Also, we're talking about the data quality. Right now, you can find a lot of data pieces, a lot of data everywhere. But when you wanna just to understand what is the quality of the data, is a tricky part because it's not easy just to say I can't rely on this piece of data, and that's something that every day most organizations just realize we need just to increase the data quality to be able to get evaluated for all those data. And when we have this clear, we can start to going further and just to start to understand, okay, now do you have the right tools? And that's a good question to do and to say, okay, right now I have a lot of legacy system, a lot of legacy platform that just I am struggling with, or maybe I have the data that will my team just to focus onto the things that really matters. Um, so a crucial part of this is just to handle the data into the right way. And for do this, you need to adhere, to store, to processes data efficiently to feed your system, as you can call it, an AI system, a dashboard, an ML model. And that's why it's very important just to have the right tools. And to do that, it's very important just to know what are your needs because every organization is different and maybe for you it's better to use this kind of combination of tools instead the use that maybe your computer are using right now. That's why it's important to first thing to know really what are your needed to needs and how your business model works. And also, the another question that we have to do here is before to moving into the upper layers is to say, okay, do you have the knowledge to use all those tools? Do you have the practices? As mentioned, it's not only about the tools, it's also about practices. Is there data democratization? And you need to answer this before to start moving forward into the pyramid and to start to say, I can just to get a lot of value from the data. That's the first thing that you need to solve before to say, okay, I want to do AI, I want to do machine learning, I want to do data scientist stuff, because this is the foundationals that you need to have in order to become a suitably data-driven institution. So
Yeah, John, a quick question.
yeah,
So can you explain a bit data democratization?
yeah, sure, Mauri. So what is the democratization? This is a practice about the providing data access to everyone in an organization. It's just to let all your team to get access into the data and just to make the right decision about the data. And this is not easy because you need just to have the right processes to allow the right people to access the right data access. But the essence of this is just to allow everyone inside your organization to access the data and to start to making decisions. Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
So finally, if we need just to start to see how we can get value from the data, the first thing that maybe and a question for you all is just to start to ask you something about how long does it take you to deliver an answer to a business question. And I am talking about a KPI that is called time to insight. It's the time that your organization takes to get an insight from an idea. So what is an insight? An insight might come from a dashboard, from a report, or even a model, a machine learning model that you just deploy. But the time that you need to have that answer really matters. And maybe if you just answer, okay, right now, for me, it takes around, I don't know, 7 months to get an answer, to get an insight from a question. Maybe you will need to review your processes and to modernize your ecosystem to be able to go quickly and to reduce this time. All of the time, I just to see data teams struggle to support the needs of the business, but also I just see this KPI growth. And it's nice because the business is willing to get it to value, but if you need to get a value and you lose the opportunity to do that to the right time, that's a problem for a data team and for everyone inside the organization. So that's very important just to use this fabulous KPI to allow you to start to measure really what is your maturity level. And also, it's very important just to allow the data teams working with your business teams. First thing that I do when I have a new hire is to say, hey, welcome, but let's talk about business. And I just say, okay, go with the business as and learn as much as you can, and just to gain a lot of business information before to go to the tools, before to go to the tech part. And that's something that I really love to do because right now the data engineers, the data scientists have a lot of knowledge, but if you can use the right knowledge I'm talking about tech, about technology, about science, but if also you use the business knowledge, you will be for sure successful into that. So that's a very important thing. Just to recap this slide, is about data maturity, about just the right people working with the right people. Again, it's not just to say I have a data engineer team. No, it's about how my data engineer team is communicating with the business team and how can we can deliver more value from the data. But you need just to put all those pieces of information into the right side. Okay, so okay, now let's talk about the tools. Okay, so right now we know that it's not just about tools, but we just living clearly that we need just to have the practices, to have the right culture around data. Now let's talk about the tools, and for this, I wanna just to talk about the modern data stack. And what is the data stack? A modern data stack is just a combination of various tools. Most of the time, we are talking about cloud native solutions that we can use to collect, process, store, and integrate and enable around the whole organization and integrate with the other ecosystem inside the company. So with this, we have a new way to do the things, and we have several tools to allow this portion. And as you can see here, most of the time we used to put tools inside of each layers, but I don't want to do that today because I just want to let you to understand the foundation, the basics. The first thing that you need to understand is that we have data sources and we have users. And with all of these pieces of information, you need to first layer to implement something that let us just to get data from the data source. And then we need something to transform it, to process the data and to store the data. And that's a very beautiful thing because into the legacy system, we used to have transformation and storage layers in the same layer, but that means a lot of problem, a lot of limitation to handle the data. And that's why right now we can just to put all those layers into the different stage. And transformation is about just to change your data, just to modify your data to be able to have a data that you can use for something. When I say something, it can be just to build a dashboard or just to build a machine learning model. And that's a very important thing. And also we had the storage. At the beginning, the storage was a pain point because it was very expensive. But right now we have the cloud environment. We have block storage, we have S3 buckets into the cloud providers, and it's very cheaper. But also it's about how you can use this into the right way. And also right now we can talk about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago we started about data lakes. Now I'm talking about lakehouse. So we have several approaches that we can use to have a very good data model stack. And talking about integration and data consumption, this is about how you can just to serve your data and to allow your user to access the data. I think right now we are living a beautiful scenario because with Gen AI, we can just start to enable not only tech users, we can enable business users that maybe uh, don't have all the knowledge about how to use SQL and how to query the data. And we can use several tools from the Gen AI to allow business users to come and the information from the data source by themselves. And that's a beautiful thing, but because that's we some time ago we mentioned about okay, self-service, data as a service. That's a beautiful thing that we I think right now we can start to materialize. And also we have some there's some layers, orchestration, how we can put all those pieces of tasks working into the right way together. Observability, this is very important because this is about how you can track your data in each part of the data life cycle. And this becomes more and more important as I can see that. And for sure, we have data governance and data management. And that's very important because sometimes the organization just want to focus on data, but it's also important focus on governance, on management, even if we are talking about how you can just to have a ecosystem, have a suitable ecosystem, there are tools to do this and to let us to do this into the right way, into the happy path, and that's very important. So this is just about the modern data stack and how you can use this layer. For sure, there are a lot of tools that you can put inside each layer, but for me, the most important thing is to understand what foundation means and what is the behind of the things and how you can just to write a better decision around that. Because so most of the time I've been seeing organizations just to struggling to choose a tool and just to dealing with the billing at the end of in month, but also it is about to know the tools, the right tools for the right use case.
Yeah. Luis, can you talk a bit about the tool selection process?
Yeah, the most important thing for identifying which products or tools are most compatible with your organization is just to understand your business, to your business, to your model, and also to understand what are your use cases and what are the best or the right products that you can use to ensure a best ROI. And also you need to understand your teams. For instance, maybe you can say, right now in my organization, I had a lot of problem to have a big data team because there is no data engineers around you. And so you can just try to go to the market and analyze research what tools allow you to have a slim team and to move it forward with that slim team. But also it depends about your processes, it depends about your restriction, and you need just to analyze every use case and just to identify what tools is the better fit for your organization.
Excellent.
Okay, so now let's do a quick poll. The idea, we just want to know you a little bit about you all. So let's start with just to try to understand what is the data style maturity.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, please continue.
Okay.
Feel free to continue with the poll. Mine will keep.
thanks, Amari. So now let's talk about some use case. I really love to use this one because this is the typical business scenario or system core ecosystem that you need to face. And as you can see here, we have a legacy system. Let's say we have our core banking system databases. For instance, we have a customer database, we have cards, we have payments, we have the ledger, and you need to be able to get all those pieces of data of information to start to doing your analytics process, or maybe to pull all those data into the warehouse to build a report. But the tricky part with this is that not everyone is granted access to this core system, because for sure, as we are talking about financial core, about financial institutions, you need to grant here security, availability, and performance. And most of the time, I just find that most of the people just put some sort of proxy database inside the OLTP system. That database has access to the core system and start to connecting that database with the core system using, for instance, an integration services or other SQL scripts. And then you have a new database inside the OLTP system, and that database is the source that you can use to start building your ETL processes. I mean, you have to you in this scenario where you were using, let's say, a Python scripts to read the data from the tables and views and put all those data inside a warehouse, let's say here. But this has a lot of limitations. For instance, what if the business asks you to do real-time processing? You are you are done with that because you can do it. You are limited because this only working page. Also, this is time consuming, and we have a complex business logic. Any change inside the data models will break your data pipelines. And that's a problem for another team because you don't, if you have that, you are not able to rely on your data. And that's a big problem with this. Also, we have a labor-intensive work around this. You have to maintain the infrastructure, you have to maintain the scripts, you have to change every day your scripts. And also, this is no scalable. As you can see here, where we have several scenarios. For instance, let's say that for the customer table, for the customer database, we can just to get access directly to the tables. But for some reason, for the payments database, we cannot just to get access directly to the views. So if we are using this, we need just to know that there are a lot of limitations with views, and also this means a lot of error prone, a lot of high latency, and that's bad for us. So how we can change this? And my question here is, not my question really, my proposal here is, what if we change the system behavior? And for instance, if we use an event-driven architecture, and we just avoid go directly to the system and just to change this and say, okay, let's just to let the core system send us all the data. And with that, we can just to avoid the security scenarios and moving faster. And so if we change that, as you can see here right now, we can just to, let's say that we have the same databases here, but we change the behavior. And using cloud native solution, in this case, this proposal is, okay, what if we use Confluent Kafka and we implement a Kafka cluster, and we have several topics inside that, and inside each databases, we enable something that we call chain data capture, and we start to send in chain feed events to all the topics. And also then we have a connector to see all those events inside a warehouse. So with this, we can just move in this direction, and we can avoid just the limitation. And also we can take care about the performance here. and we left just this Kafka cluster just to handle the event. And in this case, we have here data warehouses. We are using Snowflake, and Snowflake has a native connector with Kafka, and you can just do few clicks, and you will be able to have this integration so faster. So you don't need to take care about that. And also, for instance, if we're using a tool, a transformation tool as DBT, we can just to replace all the efforts regarding to build ETL processes, and we can just to enable the whole system to move faster, quickly, easily, and also we can scale, because if we need just to have more tables or more events, we can just to add a new cluster or maybe create a new topic. And also we have the security, because right now most of those tools are, for instance, PCI compliant, and they comply with that other regulation that let us be uh, ensure that we can rely on those systems. And also, if for some reason the business come with you and say, okay, I need a dashboard in real time, you can do it quickly. And that's the first approach that I want to just share with you in this scenario. So now let's try to answer this poll. This is about, okay, how you see this, and what is the most important thing for you, for your organization around the data.
Yeah, I just launched the poll. You can see and take your time to answer, and we'll continue in a minute.
Okay, so let's talk about this other use case. This is about traditional ELT. And in this scenario, in this case, uh, we are using a cloud solution. And let's say that we need to get new data for our customer, for our clients, and that all those pieces of information lives in Salesforce, in Qualtrics. Let's say that we need just to understand if the people are happy with our services. So we can use all those tools, but the challenge here is just how you can to build a system to get data from this application inside your warehouse. So let's say that in this case, we are using Databricks. And for do that, we build SQL and Python notebooks using AP REST, let's say, to get data from Salesforce as well for Qualtrics. And we will just to we just have here a piece of code to allow us to ingest the data from all those data sources. And also we are using notebooks to make the transformation between each zone inside our data warehouse. As you can see here, this is our data thing. This is the value that we can generate with the data. And please don't get me wrong. If you have data in this stage or maybe in this stage, you can get value for that. For instance, there is the data monetization. But if you want to just start to gain much more value for all those data, you can forward here and working with BI, machine learning, data science, Gen AI, also you will be able to generate more wallet. But in this scenario, you have your team here and you have to dedicate a lot of effort just to building and maintaining these ELT processes here. So what if we change this and you just use a tool that replace all those stuff and let your data team to focus into keeping into the right way the data, do data cleaning, do ensure the data quality, and also focus on BI and machine learning and all those stuff. So If we do that,
And before
and
we go on to
okay,
that, I saw that you put ELT, right? And usually people are very used to ETL. So can you explain a bit the difference between ETL?
yeah, it's interesting question, Amali. So at the beginning, we used to have an ETL process. That means that the first thing that you do is extract. Then on the same flow, you do the transformation, and at the end, you load the data into the repositories. With the modern data stack, we change this approach, and now the typically we used to do ELT. So if we have ELT process, the first thing that we do is extract, then we load inside our warehouse, and then we do the transformation inside the warehouse. That's something that changed around the time. Um, Honestly, most of the time, working with modern data stuff, this is the a common used approach.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to the use case. So in this case, as I mentioned, we have here a lot of SQL, Python notebooks, a lot of scripting here. But if you can use a tool like Fivetran, there are a lot of things. This is just an example. We can just connect with our data sources, and this application will do all the job for us. So, and you can rely on that. The only thing that also you don't need to take care about, okay, maybe if something changes in the data source, maybe an update, you don't need to go and update your code. You can rely in this system, and that's that. A couple of years ago, AWS called zero ETL. That means that you need to do anything else regarding to that phase. There are tools that let you that can do the work for you. And with this, your team will be able to focus into this part. And this is beautiful because, okay, you will have more capacity to start to thinking about your, for instance, your data quality, about your clean, about to clean the data, to start to implementing uh, processes to allow you to have a single source of truth. And also you will be able, and your team will have more capacity to have this important conversation with the business to understand the pain points, to understand the roadmap of the business, and to start to translate all the needs, those needs into the tech side. That's an important thing, and that's why I just mentioned it's very important just to select the right tools. It's very important just to understand your use case, because maybe if this can work for for an organization, but for another organization maybe it can't, because they have a different reality, they have a different business model, they have a different behavior. And that's why it's very important if you are trying to start this journey to modern data stack, to understand first very well your business, your organization, and then to start to research what tools, what use scale will work well, well for you, and do a right selection about these tools. So So finally, okay, just to recap the thing that we been talking about it. First thing that we see is the data engineer is a key acceleration in the financial services. Right now, we have a lot of business services changing around the user, changing around the data, around how we can just provide a better service. And data engineer is a key accelerator that allow you to start to navigating around this ecosystem, and to have the data into the right place at the right moment. That's a very important thing. Also, as I mentioned, this is about business fear. This is about, okay, if you have a holistic view or your data practice, and not just focus, okay, and just you don't not say just this is about engineering. This is about technology. This is about my business using technology to leverage my business. And that's something different. And that's why it's very important just to have this in mind and to develop the right data practices inside the business. Well, other thing, tools are important for sure, but not enough. You need to write this to handle this data into the right way, as we saw. And also we have this integrating data engineering with business team for sure will allow you to deliver more value inside your organization because we have a lot of knowledge working into the same direction and trying to do the best thing for your organization, not for tech, not for this portion of the ecosystem, for your organization. And finally, we talking about migration to a cloud-native solution can improve delivery value from data at scale because you can easily just scale. If the flow of your data grows, you can grow quickly. And as we mentioned, this the KPI, time to insight, if you are using this cloud native solution, will allow you to reduce the time that you are spending to building all those work processes to extract, to ingest, to process, and to allow you to deliver an answer to a business question quickly. If at the beginning we are talking about months, now you will be talking about days if you just try to migrate to a cloud native solution or try to implement a modern data stack. So okay, that's it that we have for you today. We are really happy to have this opportunity to talk about this topic and to just to share this knowledge, this information. I think this is very very useful. So let's have a time to do a Q&A session. Amor.
Excellent. So let me look a bit at the questions from the public. So here we have an interesting question from Victor saying that Fivetran becomes expensive to scale. How can you scale your data platform without breaking the wallet?
Yeah, that's very interesting question. And the point with this is identify that right with your use case. Because, for instance, if you need just to get data for this or two pieces of information, I mean, the freight can works well. But maybe if you need to add more data sources, you need just to retain this and to scope another approach that you can find into the market. That's a good point.
Thank you. We have a question from Francisco. How can you ensure that the data is secure after implementing a modern data framework?
Yeah, as I mentioned, this is not regarding just about tools. It's about processes. It's about data governance. And to do that, you need to align all your processes, your procedures with the data data governance. And that's why it's very important also talk about data governance and not talk just about the data tools.
Excellent. What is the difference between data democratization and data monetization?
Yeah, good question. As I mentioned, when we talk about data democratization, we are talking about how an organization can allow everyone inside the team to access the data. But when we've been talking about data monetization, we are talking about, okay, and if I have, let's say, data active, and you can see this a lot of times inside the financial ecosystem. Let's say that you have credit scoring data and you share all the data, you can get paid to share the data. And that's we call data monetization, just to start to sharing the data with other people and to get a ROI for that data. So it's a different thing because when data monetization, you get paid to allow other get access to a piece of data.
Let me check if we have more questions from the public. So maybe what are the benefits? How do you choose if you want to go with Snowflake or Databricks? I mean, those are two of the most popular at the moment, but
Yeah, but you can just try to compare because it was different. For instance, I've been using Snowflake, and when you use a Snowflake, you can just try to have a small team working around several needs inside the business, and let Snowflake do the most of the job, and you just used you need to focus on optimization, on the right use of the resources. And by the other hand, for instance, Snowflake, Databricks, sorry, allow you to start to working around a lot of things. For instance, there is notebooks, you have notebooks, you have, if you need, for instance, try to customize something inside your warehouse, you can do that. But that means that you will need to involve more people and to have a data team a little bit bigger. But it depends on your needs and your use case and on your current situation.
excellent. In your data projects, can you tell us about one of the big challenges you found and how you solved it?
Around what?
A problem, a challenge you had with a data project.
Okay. Honestly, most of the time it's not regarding to tech. It's regarding to the culture, regarding to how you establish a communication with your internal users and to set the right expectation. Because most of the time, if from the point of view of a business user, they the business user is looking for something, but something is not easy just to translate what is the need that they have or he has with the thing that your team can do that. So a lot of times it's very challenging just to try to align that part first. And also sometimes they just want to say, okay, we have this budget, just come moving forward, and we only need just to get the ROI for that. But if the business is not involved, for sure you will fail. So you need to align your data strategy with your business strategy. And that's something that sometimes is not easy to do.
Excellent. I believe you did recently a project about credit scoring. Can you tell a bit more about that?
Yeah, we were working around a project to get, this is a very different project. We need to get data from partners to understand or to be able to build a machine learning model that allow an institution to make a decision if they can go with a farmer or maybe if they don't. So
You mean they need to choose if they're going to lend them money, right?
yeah, so at the beginning we need just to build all those stuff from scratch and just to allow to have the data into the right place. And then when we do that, we start to working in building a machine learning model using all those pieces of the information that we have from the farmers to create a tool for the business to allow and to allow them to have a system to do the better decision. I mean, this is something that you can use to support to your decision, but not to let the system take the decision. So that was a beautiful project that I had the opportunity to work in.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the client was very happy about that.
Yeah.
Um, I have no more questions. Let me check if we have more questions there from the public. So I think we don't have more questions. So I think we can finish here. So thanks a lot, everybody for participating. I think it was a really interesting webinar today. Thank you, Luis, for attending. That was really
Anytime, Marie. Anytime, Marie.
thank you.
So let's keep in touch and thank you all for being here with us.